So in the last video, what we are going to do is to deploy the application directly from GitLab. And instead of doing it manually, what we did before was the rancher up command. What we are going to do now is that we will use the GitLab CI pipeline to deploy it automatically. And for that, we need those three environment variables, and we will put that into the GitLab settings for the repository, or especially for the pipeline section. And yeah, we'll just copy those over. Yeah, one gotcha here is that the command that we need to take to deploy the application through GitLab does only need the HTTP host address, so not the /v2-beta thing here. So these environment variables will be passed to the GitLab runner, which is capable of picking them up and using them for the commands that it will do to do the deployment. So we're going to take a look at the gitlab-ci.yml file here, and we'll create another stage. It's called deploy, and then we will create another job, deploy container, stage is deploy, and this is a special image here that we need to take, and this is called Rancher gitlab-deploy. This is a Docker image that is already available, not from GitLab itself, but as a third-party Docker container, which will make that a little bit easier. And the command that we use is upgrade, and then we can define the stack and the service. The stack is, in my case, deployment, and the service is web. So because we only want to replace the web application, and I'll give it a new image name that should be downloaded or that should be replaced. And with that, everything should be set up in order to automatically deploy the application. So to get the full picture here, the first stage is we build the artifacts, then we test them, and we create the actual jar file or executable. Then after that, we create the Docker container and push it to Docker Hub. And in this deploy stage, we are pulling this image from Docker Hub and let Rancher deploy this image to the stack that we have predefined. After some waiting time, what we see here is that the upgrade command will be executed, and the GitLab instance will connect to Rancher, do the upgrade, and then the next thing that we can take a look at it is how this looks on the Rancher side. So what we see right now is, when we take a look at the logs, that the application is starting up again. And when we're going to reload the application, we have to relog in because the server was restarted, and yeah, the application was deployed. So what we can do now is just create something in the application that will trigger another deployment. In this case, I will just create a button on a certain page. And this should show the real cycle of continuous delivery here. So the next pipeline is started, and after another couple of minutes we see the application will be redeployed. In this case, when I click on this container and let me give me the logs, it will show another redeployment once again. And when we relog in, we see the button should be visible on the user interface. There it is. So actually GitLab has a fairly flexible way of defining which operations are executed in the jobs and when they are executed. So in case we have a staging system and a production system, we could deploy automatically to a staging system, and the next thing, so deploying to production, would be a manual step. And this is what we can do as well. And I will just show it to you right now. Basically, we have to define we have to redefine the GitLab YAML file, and we have to tell the deploy steps, or the deploy job in this case, to be executed in a manual fashion, which means that we have a little play button in the user interface of the GitLab pipeline view, and when we do that, then we have to manually trigger the deployment. Obviously, this can be combined with another stage, so we could have a staging stage where it will be deployed to a staging system, and this happens automatically. And then we have another stage which will deploy to production, and this is a manual step depending on your preferences there. So the next invocation of the pipeline was executed, and we see the Docker container has been updated a few seconds ago, and with that, there is the manual step that we can deploy, in this case deploy to our Rancher instance, and this play button allows us to manually find this one. And when we take a look at the logs in this instance, I'll refresh the page here. So you see there are no logs about restarting the application. And the fact is that we are looking at the logs of the old container. So as you see, it is destroyed, and then we just go to the stack page here and we click on the new invocation of the container, and the logs will show that the application is starting up again. It's already finished, so we can just relog in and see the application running via a manual process. So with that, we have seen the full cycle of installing and configuring a CD pipeline with GitLab and with Rancher. I hope you have had a great time watching this, and yeah, see you next time.